underestimating the impact that these tariff increases, a proposed 35% tariff increase for the next 3 years, will have on profitability for corporate earnings in South Africa?
Bronwyn, I don't think we're underestimating the impact, hence the vociferous opposition we are seeing to the public hearings and to the proposed tariff hikes. What's interesting to note is that your heavy energy users, specifically the mines and so on, are actually quite keen to get equity stakes in some of these power stations. And that's quite a clever way of almost pegging your energy costs going forward, basically buying in right at the top. And I think that's probably a far more equitable way to alleviate the cash crunch that Eskom's sitting with, rather than taxing the man in the street.
Grinrod out with the trading update today, and headline earnings per share expected to be down between 55% and 65% for the 2009 period. Yes. Obviously, no surprise, as Anthony Clark from Vunani Securities was saying, given the shipping conditions at the moment. But as I was saying to him, this is a heavy cyclical stock. Would you be betting on it at the moment?
Bronwyn, I think there are a couple of things, and BJM's had a look at the share. Yes, the earnings weren't shooting the lights out, but the reality is Grinrod's got a very strong balance sheet, firstly, and that'll carry them through the tough time. Shipping rates, especially on the dry bulk side, are picking up. They are definitely firming. And Grinrod's got a very nice fleet of what's called handy-sized container ships. So, you know, they're not in the super tanker league size where rates are obviously under pressure and your running costs are in a different ballgame completely. So this could probably be one to look at, given the fact that we at BJM assume ideal scenario, sort of a moderately improving US economy and strong demand from China.
What you're actually saying is you're not forecasting a double-dip recession globally,
no.
Or in South Africa. So perhaps time to look at the likes of a Grinrod. Any other interesting news flow out on the JSE All Share today?
We just saw Lewis coming out with their results. We don't formally cover the stock, but having a quick look at some of the numbers, they are benefiting from very tight credit control, and that's always been their forte, and the market quite liking the results on Lewis, and I think that share price
51.26 up 1.5%. Yes. It ended today. Again, we're looking at a cyclical stock.
Correct.
Have you missed the boat on this one, or is there still plenty of upside on Lewis?
Yeah, Lewis is not one I look at that closely, so couldn't really comment, sorry.
MTN at 107 Rand, divergent views on this stock. We have the likes of David Shapiro saying this one's going to 100 Rand, and perhaps he would only look to pick it up then. And the likes of Wayne McCurry, RMB Asset Management, Ashraf Mohammed, Regiment's fund managers saying at 107 Rand 50, they would definitely be buying this stock.
Jumping in boots and all, are they? I think MTN is one of those sort of colourful stocks that there's always an angle to it. So you could argue, you know, SIM fees in Nigeria, legislation in this country, potential war in Iran, and you know, there's always an angle. After you cut through everything, the long and the shortest is a very defensive stock. I don't think it's going to go dramatically lower than 100. And you know, if you want to try and time it, maybe wait for $100. But at BJM, we're quite comfortable with it current levels.
CEO of the JSE, Russell Loubser, was quoted earlier saying that he expects foreign inflows into South African equities to match last year's inflows. Now, we saw inflows of what, around about 76 billion Rand.
Correct, yes.
Do you think that is possible as a repeat performance this year?
I was looking at some interesting research coming from our strategists today, and just to add to what you were saying, that 35% of the US market cap is currently housed in money market funds. Now, there's a bit of a conundrum in that, where do you put your money? Because you're not getting anything in government bonds, you're not getting anything in money market. So by implication, you're almost forced into higher risk assets. South Africa being probably the preeminent emerging market in the world, as a result, we could probably see some significant flows into our country once again. Having said that, it's difficult to quantify whether or not it'll match last year's flow, because we were off a very low base and there was a bit of a rebound effect that we saw.
Nomura analyst Gavin Wood has put out a report saying that steel prices will climb this year. Interesting, considering that ArcelorMittal fell 4 1/3%. Have I missed something on ArcelorMittal today at 108 Rand?
I think if you look carefully, you'll see most of the commodity prices coming off. The Rand giving back a bit. It feels like today was quite a bit of profit taking on the market. We saw some.
So this is just in line with general commodities,
Completely.
and a report like that doesn't have the strength to boost
No, it doesn't
ArcelorMittal.
really,
That's
no.
what you're saying to me, aren't you?
In effect.